is a certified EQ practitioner, master facilitator, and international keynote speaker. Mucha is on a mission to transform Africa. She is the founder and the leader change maker at the PTS Africa. PTS Africa uses it's a boutique of consultants and a consultancy firm in Kenya dedicated to the development of people. PTS Africa uses its expertise in EQ, which is an emotional quotient, as a foundation to assist organizations to successfully navigate change, rebuild culture, and drive sustainable performance. She has a background in financial services with over 10 years in financial advisory client service experience in the UK. She has a postgraduate diploma in organizational psychology from the University of London and a certificate in financial planning. Join us tonight live, but she has sent a video and I'll be glad to share her video with you. Here we go, Mucha Mlingo.
The outbreak of the coronavirus last year impacted us in ways that we could never have imagined. And we're still reeling from the aftermath. We have lost loved ones, lost jobs, lost opportunities, and to some extent, some of us may have even lost traces of ourselves. And each loss cut us to the deep. As we cast our minds forwards and look ahead to 2021 and beyond, we find ourselves gripped by emotions, big emotions that threaten to hold us hostage, impacted by the lingering fears and anxieties. Will 2021 actually be better? Hi, my name is Mucha Mlingo. I am an emotional intelligence coach based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am delighted to be in this forum to share insights on how you can win with emotions through turbulence. I am sorry that I could not be with you in person, but I know that the conversations that have come before me and those that will come after are lit. And I know that you will come away from this UR3 conference a different person. Well done, Steph, for putting it together, and thank you so much for the invitation to be here. When life gets bumpy, can emotional intelligence help? Let's start from the very beginning. Emotions are data, and they exist to serve you. Every emotion that you feel has a purpose. This is never truer. This has never been truer than in times of turbulence. It is when things are most uncertain, when life is at its bumpiest, that you need to pay greater attention to what your emotions are telling you, and then utilize that information accordingly. The dictionary defines emotions as strong feelings deriving from one's circumstance, mood, or relationships with others. Your emotions are an ally. They are there to serve you. Those strong feelings that come about as a result of your circumstances, as a result of your mood, or how you're interacting with others, are not just there for the sake of it. Maurice Elias puts it this way: emotions help to keep us on the right track by making sure that we are led by more than cognition. Emotions are human beings' warning systems, telling them what is really going on around them. Emotions are your most reliable indicators of how things are going on in our lives. They are also like an internal gyroscope. Emotions help us to keep on the right track by making sure that we are led than more than just rational thought. Your emotions were designed to support your life journey. Your emotions are tools, so you need to know how to appreciate what is in this emotional toolbox and what works best in particular circumstances. The challenge is, for many of us, this toolbox did not come with a guidebook. And so we are lost, uncertain when we are feeling those emotions, particularly the ones that make us feel uncomfortable. These emotions, the ones that provide us with unpleasant feelings, have traditionally and unfairly been labeled as negative emotions. People tend to want to avoid them, force them down, or silence them as soon as they emerge. Whilst it is not easy to deal with painful emotions head on, especially in times of turbulence, it is important to ensure your good health and well being physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. If you don't deal with your emotions, especially those very ones that are making you feel uncomfortable when they arise, they will resurface as compounded emotional toxicity later on. So, how do we deal with those emotions through turbulence times? The answer is to vet your emotions, validate, explore, and transform. Validate your emotions. Validate your emotions fearlessly. Accept what is. What you feel in that particular moment, what you're feeling in this particular moment, in the middle of what may feel like chaos, doesn't define you. Your emotion is understandable. Your emotion is fully acceptable. Your emotion is real and logical given what has happened, given what you are going through. Validate it. Pause and reflect on what you're feeling. And because emotions typically travel in multiples, ask yourself what else you're feeling and what else. Pay attention to every single emotion. There are emotions that tend to be loud, and there are those that are beneath the surface. Pay attention to each one. Be curious. Don't be tempted to judge what you're feeling. Remember, every emotion shares a valuable insight. And so take time to understand what it is that you are feeling. And once you've identified each emotion, validate that feeling by accepting it in whatever way works for you. I like to imagine my emotions, even those that make me feel uncomfortable, as friends who've come over for tea, friends who would like to share some insight with me. Validate. Your emotions are a reflection of this moment. They are not a determination of who you are. Help your emotions to feel welcome for a moment before moving on to the next step, which is to explore those emotions. Now that you've validated your emotions, unpack them a little further. Ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What other emotion might help to meet that need, that desire, that purpose? What is the kernel of truth, the kernel of wisdom that could be found in this emotion? Using a visual metaphor of an iceberg, it's important to look beneath the surface. Sometimes we can very easily identify our surface emotions, but other reactions may be lurking beneath the surface. So, what are you gaining from that emotion, or what insight can you gain from that emotion? Sometimes the process of just mindfully sitting with your emotions, holding them for a moment, can help us to identify what truly is beneath. Psychologist Robert Plutchik created the Plutchik model with 8 basic emotions: joy, trust, fear, surprise, sadness, anticipation, anger, and disgust. Plutchik's wheel of emotion organizes these 8 basic emotions based on the psychological purpose of each. What do I mean by that? Well, disappointment, for example, is highlighting the fact that things didn't go as expected and calls you to focus your attention on something that you may need to change. Discouragement highlights the fact that you can't seem to get what you want and challenges you to check your level of commitment. Anxiety highlights the fact that you are unsure how things will work out, how things will pan out, and calls you to focus your attention on finding solutions to potential problems. every emotion has a purpose. Once you have explored each emotion to understand the messaging behind it, the last step is to transform your emotions. This journey to vet your emotions concludes with transformation. As you peel back the layers to better understand why you are feeling the way that you are, you will find that your emotions actually begin to change. When you name it, you start to tame it. Maria Jackson, a program manager at 6 Seconds, the global emotional intelligence network that I'm part of, puts it this way: when you acknowledge your emotions, there is a powerful impact on their strength. As the energy shifts, the idea is to use this as an opportunity to decide what your next action step will be. How will you meet the needs of your emotion? How will you go forward with purpose? Validate, explore, transform. I'd like us to do a quick activity, even as you listen to this presentation. I'd like you to cast your mind back to emotions that you are feeling that have been making you feel uncomfortable. When we are in times of uncertainty, heightened uncertainty, as we have been facing over the last year or so, when we find ourselves in times of turbulence, perhaps because of the losses that we've undergone or the change that we've had to navigate. It's difficult to push through. So let's do an activity. Think about an emotion or think about a situation that you are currently in, a situation that you're struggling with, where your emotions seem to be holding you hostage. And I'd like you to take a moment to just stop and think about every emotion that you're feeling, every single one. Take a moment. What is it that you are feeling? And remember what I said, emotions very rarely travel alone. Take out a piece of paper and just start writing down all the emotions that come to the fore as you consider this circumstance that you're in. Write down every single one. I'm going to give you a moment to reflect. Like I said, think about a situation where you're feeling particularly stuck as a result of this turbulence that we've all experienced. As you think of that situation, close your eyes for a moment. What are you feeling? What else are you feeling? What else are you feeling? Write that down. I'm going to give you a minute to just spend some time in those emotions. Don't judge them, just write them down. Allow yourself to feel uncomfortable if necessary, but just spend a moment in that space and write down how it's making you feel. Okay, so hopefully you've written down a number of emotions. Those that you would label as good, those that you will label as bad. And I trust that you have paid keen attention to every emotion. Remember, the idea is not to judge, just to write it down. So now that you've written down everything that you're feeling, now that you've had that brain dump, the idea is to explore each emotion. Now, for the purposes of this presentation, I'm just going to spend about a minute, but I would encourage you to come back to this exercise because you may need a bit more time to truly explore each emotion. So what I'd like you to do now is for every emotion that you've written down, the good, the bad, the ugly, what insight could you gain from that emotion? If that emotion was a friend who'd come around and you're sitting at the table having a cup of tea, what is it that that emotion is trying to tell you? What insight can you gain from that particular emotion? So like I said, I'm going to give you 1 minute to do this exercise, but I want to encourage you to come back to this exercise because 1 minute isn't truly enough, but I just would like you to experience going through it. For every emotion that you listed, what insight can that emotion give you? What insight can that emotion give you? And if you're feeling stuck, I'd encourage you to visit the 6 Seconds website, the number 6 seconds.org. So that's the number 6 seconds.org. And in the search function, type in Plutchik model. And what you'll find there is insight into what the typical emotions actually represent. So that's homework for you to do later. But for now, look at every emotion you've written down and ask yourself, what insight is this emotion trying to give me? 1 minute. I know that may have been a little uncomfortable for some, but remember that nothing good happens in your comfort zone. It's good to be uncomfortable because it's when you're uncomfortable and you push through that discomfort that you're able to utilize your emotions as a strategic resource. And so the last part of this exercise is the transform. And here's the thing, as you begin digging deeper to understand the insight that emotion is giving you, you're able to transform that emotion into an ally. And that process of transformation begins to change how you're feeling. And so that anxiety is no longer an enemy, it is an ally, letting you know about the concerns that you have. And once you acknowledge the anxiety and the insight it's giving you, you're able to use that as a strategic resource. And so when you find yourself in turbulent times, the solution is to vet your emotions. The transformation step, as you look at the insight you're getting, ask yourself how you can take action as a result of that insight. We've done this exercise we've done this exercise very quickly, and to be honest, it needs a bit more time. So I want to challenge you to take a little more time and come back to this exercise. But like I said, the last part of the exercise, the T, the question is, what is your next action? How will you meet the need of this emotion? How will you go forward with purpose? As you look at everything you've written down, what is the next step? And I realize that in the explore step, we haven't really had sufficient time to truly explore. So I'm going to leave you to do the transform step once you have fully completed the explore step. So, this is the key to utilizing your emotions as a strategic resource so that you can win through times of turbulence. It has been my honor to share these insights with you. I hope that you have found them beneficial. Let's continue to connect online. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram. You can find me on Twitter and LinkedIn. My social media handle is Mucha Mlingo, my two names put together. I look forward to connecting with you all. And I want to challenge you when you find yourself in times of turbulence, vet your emotions, validate, explore, and transform. Thank you very much, Steph, for inviting me to speak here. May God continue to bless you and use you in a mighty way as you help individuals to truly move forward in these difficult times. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.